One. Okay, so we just read Stone Soup, and that version had 3 soldiers. This version has some pigs, okay? So this is Miss Schollinger's favorite version. I have read this since I was little, before I even knew that there were other versions of Stone Soup. So let's read, okay? We're listening for this time some differences between the 2 books. So one difference I can see already is that in the other book they had soldiers, and in this book they have pigs, okay? So you're going to be trying to see if you can tell a difference between that book and this book, because we're going to compare them. Does anybody know what it means to compare something? Hunter?
It means like if something you think is better, but the other one is better.
Okay. It means kind of to see what things are similar or different. So if I say I'm going to compare and contrast this book to the other book, I'm going to see what things they have in common and what things are different. Okay. So your job today is to listen for what's similar about this book and our other book and what's different about this book and our other book. Okay. Look, said Winston as he scrambled to the top of the hill. I can see a little village way down there in the valley. I see it too, cried Clara happily. It looks like such a friendly place, doesn't it? I certainly hope it is, said Winston. We've been on the road for 3 days now without a meal. Eloise?
I found something that is
different or the same?
The same.
Okay, what?
That they found a village.
Good. Charlie?
I found something that's different.
Okay, what?
That instead of soldiers, it's pigs.
Good. Okay, last one, Hunter.
I found something the same, that they haven't had food.
Good. They haven't eaten in a long time. Okay, now the next time I'll stop, I'll ask you to raise your hand. So keep your hands down until I stop the next time, okay? I certainly hope it, says Winston. We've been on the road for 3 days now without a meal, and 3 nights sleeping on the hard, cold ground, sighed Clara. I'd give just about anything for a soft bed to sleep on tonight. Winston put his arm around his sister. Don't worry, Clara, he said. I'm sure we'll find something to eat in the village, and you'll have your soft bed too. People all over the world are kind to travelers like us. Winston and Clara were still a long way from the village, but the townspeople already had seen them coming. Now these people were rich enough, and they had plenty to eat. The trouble was they hated strangers, and they were just as mean and stingy as could be. See those 2 strangers headed our way, said one. Well, they'll eat everything in town if we let them. You're right, said another, and they mustn't find out how rich we are either, or surely they'll want us to share with them. So everyone in the village got busy hiding food and money. The town butcher closed his shop. He snatched the roasts and chops and steaks out of his store window. Then he hid them down in the cellar. The butcher's shop looked bare as a bone. What does it mean to be stingy? What does stingy mean? Eloise?
It means they don't want to share.
Good. So if I had 5 pieces of candy and I had a friend say, you know, I would really love just 1 piece of candy, I'd say, no, I only have 5 and I want 5, so I'm not giving you any. That would be stingy. The town banker locked up his bank. He shuttered the windows and put a sign on the door. Bank closed, all out of money. The village innkeeper hid every key to every room. No guests were staying at the inn, but no matter, he hung a sign over the desk anyway. Inn full, next inn 10 miles. The farmer's wife ran out to the garden and quickly picked up every cabbage, carrot, and onion. Then she hid them under her bed. The townspeople put chickens and sausages in their closets. They stuffed rice and potatoes into drawers and cupboards. They even lowered buckets of milk down into their wells. It wasn't long before every single scrap of food was out of sight. Now, the villagers could go about the day as usual, but even the richest of them wore their poorest, oldest clothes. Each man put a sad, hungry look on his face, and each woman clutched at her stomach as if she hadn't eaten in days. Our travelers reached the village gates with high hopes. Look at all the fine big houses, said Winston. It looks like a lot of rich folks live here. Said Clara. I think I smell a fresh baked apple pie. Me too, said Winston, an apple pie smelling nose is pointing to that big white house over there. Winston and Clara went right up to that house and knocked on the door. It opened just a crack. What do you strangers want? Said a harsh voice from behind the door. Please, said Winston, my sister and I have come a long, long way. We've had nothing to eat for 3 whole days and— Go away, said the voice. We barely have enough food for ourselves, and the door slammed shut with a bang. Clara went up to a man who was crossing the street. Please, sir, she said politely. My brother and I are a long way from home. We could use a hot meal and a place to sleep. That's not my problem, said the man gruffly. There's no room at the inn, and as for food, well, we had a bad harvest. There's almost no food left in this whole town. Then the man put the hungriest possible look on his face, and he grabbed his stomach with both hands. I'm hungry too, he said as he went on his way. Winston and Clara knocked on every village door. They stopped everyone who passed by. No food, no room. We're as poor as you are. Go away. The answer was always the same. Whatever will we do now, said Clara, as they slumped down on a bench in the village square. I don't know, said Winston sadly. I feel sorry for this people, even if they're as badly off as they say they are. I feel a lot sorrier for them, said Clara. If they've been lying to us, they must have hearts of stone. Hey, shouted Winston, that gives me an idea. Come on, Clara, follow me. What for? Asked Clara. Where are we going? Just follow me. I'll explain it all along the way, said Winston. Then Winston told Clara his idea, and they knew just what to do. Winston and Clara rang the bell in the village square, and they tugged hard on the rope, and the bell rang and rang. Right away, the whole town came running. What's the meaning of this? Asked the mayor. He shoved his way to the head of the crowd. We only ring the town bell for emergencies. Sir, said Winston, we've knocked on every door. We've talked to everyone who would listen, and I'm sure you'd like to help us, if only you could. So it must be true then you're as poor and as hungry as we are. So, said Clara, now's the perfect time to make stone soup. Soup? Said the mayor. From stones? He threw back his head and laughed heartily. Ha, ha, ha. The crowd began to laugh too. Stone soup indeed. Go home, everybody, said the mayor. These youngsters are not only poor and hungry, they're crazy too. Who ever heard of such a thing as stone soup? But wait, said Winston, tugging at the mayor's coat. Have you ever heard of the great Wadu of Wixieland? Now, there's no such thing as a Wadu, and there's never been a place called Wixieland. But, the mayor thought to himself, Wixieland? Wadu? These sound like important things a mayor should know about. Everyone who knows anything about the great Wadu, snapped the mayor. So what? Well, sir, Winston went on, as you well know, the great Wadu of Wixieland is the wisest Wadu of all. My father was his best student, so he rewarded my father with this secret recipe for stone soup. My father passed the secret on to me, you see. When you know how to make stone soup, you can never go hungry. The mayor thought to himself. Maybe there's something to this stone soup after all. Think how rich we could be if we could make soup from stones. Our village would be famous. So he's imagining, welcome to the world-famous stone soup town. Eloise?
I have something that's similar.
Okay, what?
that they're trying to trick them to get their stuff out too.
Good. Braxton?
They're both all hiding the food, and they're both all making stone soup.
Good. Moksh?
They're doing the same thing three soldiers did. They're making stone soup.
Good. Ransom?
I noticed something different.
What?
There's only 2 pigs and there was 3 soldiers.
Good. Okay. Charlie?
I noticed something the same.
What?
That they're both using water.
Good. Hazel?
I missed the last meet and I didn't get to read.
That's okay. I'll post it to the agenda. And so right now we're just listening for the details that are different. So if you'll listen to what our other friends say, it'll help you, okay?
Okay.
Maddie?
I noticed something different. There's
Okay.
animals instead of people.
Good. Okay, last person. Lenny Grace?
Something the same is that they were hiding the milk in the wells.
Good. Okay. Give us a chance, Clara pleaded. All we need from you is a soup kettle. What's the harm in that? All right, then, said the mayor at last. Bring them a soup kettle and make it a big one. Let's see if these 2 can feed the whole town with stones. So 3 of the strongest townsfolk brought out the largest soup pot in the village. Winston and Clara grabbed 2 buckets and ran to a nearby stream. It took many, many bucketfuls to fill the pot with water. Next, they gathered up firewood. They built a huge bonfire under the kettle. In no time at all, the water was boiling and bubbling merrily. Hey, friends, we got to keep our hands down because I got to get through the story, okay? But I'll call on you at the end, I promise. Winston picked out 4 large round stones lying in the village square. How lucky you are, said Winston. You have just the right kind of stones in your village for stone soup. Clara carefully wiped the dirt from each stone. Then she dropped them one by one into the kettle with a splash. Winston and Clara sat down to wait, but it wasn't long before the crowd grew restless. What's happened to that magic soup you promised us? Cried one of the villagers. You can't hurry good stone soup, Clara replied. Stones are very hard. It takes a lot of cooking to make them tender and juicy. More time passed. At last, Winston went to the steaming pot and dipped in his spoon. He blew on the soup to cool it, and a hush fell over the crowd. Ah, said Winston as he tasted the broth. Stone soup is so tasty, even when it's plain like this. Let me have some, said the mayor eagerly. Oh, not yet, sir, said Winston. It needs salt and pepper first. Right away, the mayor sent his wife home for salt and pepper, and in just a few minutes she was back, bringing some fresh herbs too. Clara sprinkled salt and pepper and herbs into the bubbling kettle. You know, said Winston as he stirred the soup, stone soup is so much better than it has a few carrots in it, or maybe a cabbage or 2. Winston, said Clara with a frown, you know that these people are as poor and as hungry as we are. What would they be doing with carrots and cabbages? I'm sure if they'd had some, they would have told us. I have carrots and cabbages under my bed, said the farmer's wife, not thinking what she was saying. Your bed, said Winston, with a look of surprise. I mean, the cabbage bed. She quickly explained, maybe I can even find a carrot or 2. Can't hurt to go see. So off the farmer's wife ran to her bedroom, and in just a few minutes she was back. She brought a sack full of carrots, cabbages, and onions too. Winston and Clara chopped up the vegetables and threw them into the pot. Winston, Clara said as she stirred the soup, doesn't our stone soup look just a bit thin? It could use a little milk, don't you think? Milk, said Winston. Clara, milk is for the rich people. Where in the world would these poor folks get milk? From our wells, said the butcher's wife without thinking. From your wells? Said Clara with a look of surprise. I meant to say I might find a drop or 2 left, she explained. It wouldn't hurt to go see. Off the butcher's wife went running. Soon she returned, hauling 2 huge buckets brimming with fresh milk. Winston and Clara poured the milk into the pot, and Winston stirred the soup. You know, Clara, he said, stone soup is just not quite the same without potatoes. Winston, Clara scolded. I know that even poor people have potatoes to eat, but we've been to every house in this unhappy village, and we didn't see a single potato anywhere. The potatoes are in drawers and cupboards, said the banker's wife. In your drawers and cupboards, said Winston with surprise. Oh, what I mean is maybe some potatoes rolled behind my cupboard, she explained, or maybe or one or two fell into a drawer. It can't hurt to go look. So off the baker's wife went to her cupboard and drawers. Quick as a wink, she was back with a basket full of potatoes. Winston and Clara peeled them, cut them, and tossed them into the pot. You know, said Clara, speaking loudly enough for the whole village to hear, my father often had dinner with the Emperor of Bongo Bongo. The townspeople looked blankly at each other. No one had ever heard of Bongo Bongo. But it must be a very important place to have a real emperor in charge. This emperor, Clara went on, served stone soup just like ours, only his always had meat in it. Just imagine, the townspeople said to each other, a little meat would make our stone soup good enough for an emperor. But Clara, said Winston sternly, you know this is not Bongo Bongo, and these people certainly are not emperors. How can you even talk to them about meat? You saw the butcher shop, bare as a bone. All the meat is in the cellar, the butcher said. In the cellar, said Clara with surprise. Oh, I mean, I'm the seller, explained the butcher quickly, but maybe there are some scraps left I didn't sell. No harm in looking. Off the butcher ran to the cellar, to his shop, and in no time at all he was back with arms wrapped around a huge chunk of beef. Winston and Clara cut it up and threw it into the pot. The wonderful smell from the soup kettle was making the whole town hungry, especially the mayor. I can't wait another minute, he said. Then he snatched up a spoon and dipped it into the soup and tasted it. The crowd was as quiet as could be. Why, said the mayor with delight, this is truly the most wonderful soup I've ever tasted, and imagine, there's nothing in it but stones and water. The whole town cheered and shouted with joy. They hoisted Winston and Clara high on their shoulders. How proud they were of these magical pair. So why not have a feast in their honor of the two cooks who made soup from stones? Chairs and tables were set out in the square, and roast chickens and sausages came out of hiding. There was fresh cider to drink and all sorts of cakes and pies for dessert. The townspeople ate and drank long into the night. When the last drop of stone soup was gone, the innkeeper took Winston and Clara to the inn. He gave them his best room. Quickly, they fell asleep in soft beds at last. Next morning, everyone in the village turned out to see Winston and Clara on their way. You've taught us some wonderful magic, said the mayor. How can we ever thank you? By serving stone soup to all hungry travelers, was Winston and Clara's reply, and to this day, the little village is known the world over for its big heart. There is always food and rest for a tired, hungry traveler, and it's all because of Winston and Clara. They gave the village a recipe for stone soup and a recipe for kindness, too. Friends, I love that book. I think it's so funny how each animal is caught kind of being sneaky and saying, oh, our milk's in the wells. And they're like, what do you mean your milk's in the wells? That's weird. And then they're like, I mean, I might as well look. And they have to kind of backtrack. But they learn that if everybody gives a little, then there's a whole lot, right? All right, friends. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to our agenda. Click on the orange. And it looks like, that's our old one. Hold on. Okay, it looks like this. What is one thing that was the same in both books? So you can either click the label tool and type it on this line, or you can record yourself, tell me what's the same. On this slide, tell me one thing that was different about the books. Okay? All right, friends. Awesome job listening. Raise your hands so I can be a little bit flexible. Hold on. Raise your hand if you would want to read another version of Stone Soup tomorrow. Okay. Raise your hand if you would want me to send you a recipe for stone soup. Okay. So every year, Miss Challenger normally has, like I would say, Braxton, bring a can of corn. Charlie, bring a potato. Eloise, bring some tomatoes. Gabriel, bring some broth. Hold Hold on just a
I
second.
have beautiful stones in my garden.
Okay, hold on. I would say, Gabby, bring salt and pepper. Hazel, bring some vegetables. I don't know, but I would tell everybody one thing to bring, and then we would all put it in the pot and make stone soup. Okay? Now, we know that you don't really put stones in the soup, right? No, we don't put stones in the soup. That was kind of their trick to get the people to help them, okay? So what I'll do is we'll plan on reading another version of stone soup tomorrow, and I will send out the recipe tonight for stone soup to your parents, okay? Okay, friends, I will see you guys back at 11 o'clock for reading comprehension, or not reading comprehension, for problem